Shocking news here for everybody. Those are your World Series odds. I can't believe it. The Dodgers have the shortest odds for the preseason to go out there and win it. Also, the shortest preseason odds we've seen since the 2003 Yankees. Now, that brings us to an important question because Jay Busbee, we've talked already a lot about the fact that this season is likely to be overshadowed by many for the cloud of the lockout that could be coming in 2027. We do not have labor peace between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association. There's a lot on the line, and I'm trying to figure out what the best outcome of this season is for what we're about to face in this offseason. Hear me out. As much as people right now are rolling their eyes, what happens to the Dodgers will make a substantial difference in the tone of the negotiations to me. If the Dodgers turn around and they win a third straight World Series and they just dominate everybody, owners will be able to sit at the table with the players and say, see, we don't have competitive balance anymore because they've overspent everybody. But if the Dodgers turn around and have just a weird Dodger-like season, which we did see until a couple of years ago where they're great, but they're not quite that great and they don't win at all of a sudden players are coming in and saying, look, like the money being spent doesn't equal championships. So what do you think is the biggest or best outcome, I should say, for the Dodgers for the future of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking whether it's okay to basically burn down the rest of baseball in order to save it going forward, and that's a tough thing to ask. That's why baseball always is its own worst enemy. The best case scenario for baseball is to become an integral part of its fans' lives, and this is something that you can't quantify with a spreadsheet. You can't quantify this with a box score, but baseball is at its best when it is a constant part of its fans' lives. They're checking the standings. They want to see how many games behind or ahead they are. They want to know what the pitching matchups are for that given night. They're invested in it. And what baseball has done a terrible job of is getting fans invested in the game. When those moments happen, when during a Shohei Ohtani run, during the 1995 Cal Ripken season, baseball is absolute. It's the best. It's the best sport. But when baseball gets itself separated from the fans, as seems to be happening again now, that's when problems happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I keep going back to sitting in a dive bar last year, watching Game 7 of the World Series, watching what I think is the most incredible Game 7 I've ever seen in any sport, and one of the best moments we've ever seen in sports history. And the conversation today isn't really about that. It's about whether or not the Dodgers, who won that Game 7 in the most dramatic of like for that minute, we didn't care about who spent what money. We didn't care about who did what to the future. We just cared about seeing baseball at its best. And that's what we saw.
Exactly.
Like I feel an infectious sort of want to watch more baseball right now than I've felt in years because of the hangover, let's say, carryover from what we saw in the World Series. Like, I think that's real. Like, I find myself watching spring training ball in the background, and I'm not rolling my eyes because there is still a carryover for the drama we saw. So to me, stars in star-like situations are never going to be a bad thing. To me, having this level of attention that comes is going to be important. I think it's important that we get that. But I do think that if the Dodgers go out and, you know, whatever the reason might be, whether it's boredom, whether it's injury, God forbid, whether it's any of those things, if the Dodgers come out and they're just sort of flat, then that does empower the argument of money doesn't buy you championships, so we don't need a salary cap. And that's that. I don't think that the players are wrong for that mindset. I just think it becomes a negotiating tool. And unfortunately, love it or hate it, everything we see on the diamond this year is going to be like checked into a pros and cons list as part of a future negotiating tool. This isn't just about the fans. This is about the way the owners and the players see the game that they participate in every single day. And I think you're right, Busbee. It's important. You better catch him. You better catch him hard in every market that you possibly can this year, because the minute people hear labor talks, they check out on so much of this stuff. They immediately take a side on so much of this stuff, and they see their sport more calloused than ever. So I think you're right. They do need to find connective tissue in every market to avoid what's going to happen when they start arguing inevitably about money.
Yeah, I mean, it's more that they check out; they get actively hostile toward the game, and that's. I think back to last summer. I was in Pittsburgh. I was covering the U.S. Open. I had an off night. I went to see a game, Pittsburgh, Florida game. I mean, the most mundane sort of game that I'm sorry, not Florida, Miami, Pittsburgh, the Pirates, Marlins. It was the most mundane game from a standings perspective that you can imagine. And yet there were still people there. There were a few people there that were really into the game, that were enjoying it for the moment. But there were so many more empty seats. And that's because the Pirates, are one of the many teams that just look up at the Dodgers and they think, what can we do? How can we keep up with them? There's only a small number of teams that can legitimately compete. And so if you have the opportunity to have more franchise or more fan bases engaged, more fan bases feeling like on into June, July, August, even September, that they have a possibility of a postseason run, that's how you get them engaged. That's how you get them to be a part of this thing. If they feel like, it's all going to the Dodgers already, they're going to just buy another championship, they check out and they get actively hostile toward the game that should be a source of love.
It's funny you mentioned the Pirates because certainly it's such a great example of what's the point. Like my friends that are Pirates fans feel the inevitability from day one of we're going to have great talent, we're going to develop great talent, and then we're going to lose great talent because we can't afford to pay great talent the same way everybody else can. I cannot imagine, because the thing that we have to sell in sports always is hope, right? And that's the thing, because the outcome, only one team is ever happy at the end of the year. But there's the hope is the thing that carries from year to year. Everybody knows I'm a Raiders fan, right? Like I feel this hope because Fernando Mendoza can come in and fix the Raiders, right? Like, is that real? No, but I feel the hope and it feels real. Any other team in any other sport, when you have a young pitcher that looks like he could be one of the best in the entire league, when you have a Skeens, that becomes a reason that you go to the ballpark doesn't matter. But for so many Pirates fans, it's the exact opposite of that. It's almost defeating because you have a Skeens and you won't be able to keep him. So now you just get the tease of watching him for a few years until he wants to go somewhere and actually win at a high level and make the best money. So it's sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't, because conversely, we're watching Shohei get more attention than he ever got with the Angels. How many times with the Angels did we say, God, I wish we could actually watch Shohei win? Now we're watching him win, and it's like, oh, typical Dodgers. They just go out and buy this. Like, it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. But you're right. Like, if you're a Pittsburgh fan and you feel like you have young talent, what are you doing? Eventually, for us to pay attention the way that we pay attention, you got to see him on a championship team, which means almost inevitably the talent has to end up for the Dodgers for everybody to spend as much time paying attention to it. I don't know the right way to fix it, but you're right. The conversation gets broken in that process.
Yeah, and baseball is a fundamentally local sport. You're, as opposed to football, where you're kind of keeping an eye on other conferences, other divisions, what's going on all across the league. Baseball, you are fundamentally focused on your team first, and then how everybody else factors into that. I'm in Atlanta. I've been a Braves fan since I was a kid. I factor everything through how it does or does not affect the Braves and how it hurts the Mets. That's how I see the world in baseball terms. And so when you have that opportunity to have your team in the playoff hunt or have your team out of the playoff hunt, it completely reshapes the way that you view the sport of baseball. And I think that's what baseball's stewards have forgotten. This is not an accounting exercise. This is not a statistical exercise. This is a game and this is a pastime that needs to be preserved, and it needs to be valued for more than just how much money it puts into the owners and the players' pockets.
Which brings me back to why I think the Dodgers are the team you root for or against, depending on what you want to have happen with the salary cap. Like, if you believe that baseball needs to have a salary floor, and I do, like, I honestly think this is where I'm the worst. They would hate me in mediation. I think that they need a floor, require everybody to spend a certain amount of money, and I don't think they need a cap, because at the end of the day, I love people going out and making every dollar they possibly can. But I do believe that you should have to spend to a certain floor if you're going to own a team. I don't care about billionaires keeping their billions. But realistically, if you believe that the system is broken and what it needs is salary cap reform, truly, then I think you're rooting for the Dodgers to go out and have a historic year. You are rooting for the Dodgers to go out and be one of the best teams of all time, to go on a historic run where they don't lose a single playoff game and they hoist the World Series for the third year in a row, and then everybody has fatigue. Like, we get that exhaustion point that hits. Just like it hit with Golden State, it will then hit with the Dodgers, and the point that everybody can look to is, instead of looking at it and saying, well, my favorite team didn't draft well enough, my favorite team doesn't develop well enough, my favorite team doesn't reach the salary cap floor, instead of having those real conversations, you can just look and say, well, what the hell am I supposed to do against the Dodgers? It's not our fault. It's their fault. They become the villains. The whole system gets ripped apart. Like, if you truly want economic reform, the Dodgers need to have the single greatest season in Major League Baseball history.
Burn it all down and leave all the fans of the other franchises crying, and then start from that ground. I like that. I like it. I like the chaos theory.
Yeah, well, it's at least a theory. We got plenty of time to go, though. The season is right around the corner. World Baseball Classic also. We will have you covered on Yahoo Sports Daily and everywhere else. And don't forget, as you see there, Yahoo Fantasy Baseball is back. You can join or create a league in the Yahoo Fantasy app. It is untouchable. We are going to do one for this show, even though I'm going to get my ass kicked. So I'm just letting you know now it's going to be out there, and there's going to be lots of Dodgers on it.